Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas gave testimony before the House Appropriations Committee on Homeland Security yesterday about the department's new Disinformation Governance Board, which we've talked about a fair amount on this show. Now, Mayorkas said the board was created by DHS to combat online disinformation, adding that the department is focused on the spread of disinformation in minority communities ahead of midterm elections.
And while some have criticized the department as a way for the government to censor citizens and unfavorable news, Republicans grilled Secretary Mayorkas over its hiring of Nina Jankowicz, the Disinformation Board's newly appointed leader, who went viral on TikTok for this.
Information laundering is really quite ferocious. It's when a huckster takes some lies and makes them sound precocious by saying them in Congress or a mainstream outlet. So disinformation's origins are slightly less atrocious. It's how you hide a little lie. It's how you hide a little lie. It's how you hide a little lie. When Rudy Giuliani shared that intel from Ukraine, or when TikTok influencers say COVID can cause pain, they're laundering disinfo, and we really should take note and not support their lies with our wallet, voice, or vote. Oh!
It really doesn't get better the more you listen to it.
Yes, it does. It's taken the journey from cringe to actually, it's so cringe, I now enjoy watching.
I saw your shoulders bobbing there while we played that back.
I don't know what you're talking about, Briahna.
Well, Senator Kennedy questioned Mayorkas about Yankovich's TikTok account and her views on Hunter Biden's laptop. Here's what he had to say.
When the department picked her, was the department aware of her TikTok videos?
Senator,
They're really quite precocious.
Senator, I was not aware of those videos.
When the department picked her, did it know that she had said that Mr. Hunter Biden's laptop is Russian disinformation?
Senator, let me repeat myself and add one other fact. I was not aware of that. We do not discuss the internal hiring process. Ultimately, it's the secretary. I'm responsible for the decisions of the Department of Homeland Security.
Well, that was endlessly entertaining, and I appreciate that Senator Kennedy worked in that. It's really quite precocious reference. Very entertaining. But look, it's a fair point. It's something we've talked about on this show. The woman picked to head this board, which we're not totally clear on what it's going to do. Mayorkas has tried to offer more explanation and really assurances that, to my mind, are based in the board not doing very much at all. So I guess fine. But this person, Jankowicz, there's a trail you can look at online of her tweets and other things, her statements, that she, like other resistance, anti-Russia, liberal type people, thought the Hunter Biden story was disinformation, and on and on and on. So that makes us wonder, like another one of these types of characters in a disinformation position.
Yeah, the real concern, as funny as it is, isn't that they didn't know about the TikToks before they put her in this position, but that they didn't know she had said all of these things that showed that she was really credulous and believing all of these.
And
other
they clearly
things
don't care. Like, they clearly don't care.
Right. Yeah.
If she had anti-vax views, they would care. They'd say, "Oh no, that's because those views are wrong. That's misinformation. You can't hold this job." But holding views, being wrong about Russiagate, collusion, or Hunter Biden, or all that stuff, oh yeah, that's fine. Like, that's not disqualifying at all, right? Don't you think that's a double standard, Kim?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they didn't even interview anyone else either, that this was the only person they had spoken to, they didn't know anything about her past, really. I mean, looking into her, the only reason why they chose her, it's hard to know what the exact reasons are, but, she did study in Russia. She double majored in Russian and in political science, and she also studied in Kiev and worked with the Foreign Ministry of Ukraine. So she's connected to both Russia and Ukraine. But she's very young, she's 32, 33, which, that to me, when you're, especially if they're trying to target, let's say, Russian disinformation or misinformation, because for some reason in this country, we're under the belief that Putin is like super powerful, right? Because he controls everything, including our elections and everything we believe and see. I mean, it's like amazing all of the amount, and he's responsible for the price hikes, the gas, the inflation, everything. I mean, the man seems to be some sort of a wizard, I suppose. But she's I worry that because she's so ingrained in like the TikTok world and being fairly young and with Russia and Ukraine and the whole, I don't know if there was a time, right, when we came out of another Cold War and it was very, very dangerous. And it would be nice to have somebody who had maybe a little bit more perspective on that time frame, I would say, a little bit, just to make sure we don't march ourselves back into something like that. And when she's classifying everything as misinformation or disinformation, even when it isn't, as we've seen, she's already proven that she's not very good at that job before even taking the job. Then I just worry that, absolutely everything that is going to be labeled that she doesn't like is going to be labeled misinformation or disinformation. And it's just going to continue fanning more dangerous flames of our relationship with Russia. That is, I think, the biggest concern, not to mention the concern of, obviously censoring and silencing Americans and saying, oh, you're all now being labeled misinformation.
Yeah, right. Something we hear from over and over again. Anyway, Fox News reported that Jankowicz has since made her TikTok account private. Meanwhile, Senator Josh Hawley pressed Mayorkas over the hiring process of Jankowicz and her past comments on social media. Let's watch that.
The president's supporters in Congress are homegrown purveyors of disinformation. These would be the people that people in my state, for instance, have elected. They do not want to remind the American people of these inconvenient truths. They choose instead to shout lies through a megaphone, capitalizing on their constituents' unfamiliarity, ambivalence, or polarization. Let's just, one more time. The president's supporters in Congress are homegrown purveyors of disinformation. Does this sound like somebody who's neutral to you?
Senator, let me share with you that I am not focused on her past comments. I am focused on...
Wait a minute. Why in the world wouldn't you be focused on her past comments?
If I may, because I am focused on the mission upon us and ahead of us. And what I've already...
You've hired her for this job and you haven't looked at her record and you're not concerned about it?
That's not what I've said.
You just said that you're not concerned about her past comments.
What I said is I am focused on the mission ahead and accomplishing that mission.
You've chosen her to accomplish that mission with these statements. Do you regard her as neutral?
And she has an obligation, while an employee of the Department of Homeland Security, to execute...
So you have complete confidence in her?
To execute her responsibilities in a nonpartisan way.
And you, based on her record, you have complete confidence that she's going to do that?
I have confidence in that, and if she fails in executing that obligation, as all individuals in the Department of Homeland Security has, then there will be a consequence to that.
Ooh, kids, do not tweet. I mean, I have the expectation that there will be at least like a cursory review of my social media before I'm hired for a job. And the idea that they didn't look and then wouldn't even recognize that that's an obvious indicator of non-neutrality and that weird doublespeak we just saw is pretty out there.
Yeah, obviously she's not neutral. So how could we pretend that she is, right? She has views, and she might be right about some views. Like in that specific thing she's saying, yeah, there are people who spread on the right who spread misinformation on various subjects, but she's only going to call out that. That's the problem.
Yeah.
She's only cares about that, and she might be right about a lot of that, but she's not. She was wrong about the kinds of misinformation that have been spread by Democrats, by progressives, and she would never call out that. It's not even clear she's acknowledged it.
Not only that, I mean, I don't think he cares that she's not neutral. I mean, sure, it'd be like, well. Yeah, I don't think they care. I don't think the administration cares. I think they actually are using this position for political gain. They know that they're going to go out there and try to censor and silence people that they do not agree with, whether they be on the left or the right, because we have to remember a lot of leftists that are anti-war are being smeared as being pro-Putin, propagandists, Kremlin talking points, right? So they're going to be going after anyone who is against their agenda. That's going to be anyone on the right or the left. I don't think they care. I don't even think it's about them not doing their due diligence, not
She's
looking
going to have a pretty long
comments.
Kim Iverson file, I think.
Yes. I'll be going after this one a lot.
Yeah. And I think your point, Robby, is important, that if they don't want someone to be neutral, if they think that there are some statements that are empirically correct, if he wants to defend the idea that Trump supporters were spreading misinformation, then defend it. But what's so wormy about that little exchange is that he wasn't even willing to stand on his own principle and say, yeah, we hired her because we believe in the political position she's taking here. And maybe you can push her to also condemn the statements, the fake news that's been coming out of the left and liberal censorship. But to let it stand there is really disheartening, regardless of what your political orientation.
You're absolutely right. That's exactly what it was. It was wormy. Like, if you're going to say, nope, Republicans are liars, they're tricking you, they're spreading lies, just say that. Don't be, well, no, I don't know what you're talking about, and we're not looking at the past thing she said, and she's going to be very neutral, even though she's never demonstrated any neutrality whatsoever so far. Like, come on. Yeah. Not persuasive at all.
Nope.
No. Well, our rising panel will join us next, and we'll discuss the super spreader event the White House Correspondents' Dinner turned out to be. More COVID coverage. Stick around for that.